Hello everyone, Ben here and welcome to highlights for some action-packed SCB Sim Racing community races. This week we're in the KTM X-Bow Cup Car at Zandvoort, and this car and track combination does not disappoint. It's amazing to think that this sim racing community is only about a month old, and yet this is already our third community race with a stacked grid and some of the fairest, most enjoyable sim racing that I've ever taken part in. If you'd like to get involved in the future and line up on the grid in community races just like this, then you can find the Discord invite link in the description. Everyone's welcome, regardless of ability or previous experience. Now then, on to today's racing. We've got two 20-minute races here with a reverse top 8 for the second race. There's loads more RaceRoom and iRacing coming up on the channel, so make sure you're subscribed. But without any further delay, let's get to the grid for race 1. Here we are then, waiting for the lights. We're lining up here in third place on the grid and getting ready to get underway, and we are go. We've got a reasonable start. I see there's a message on the left hand side of the screen that Garcia has got a stop and go penalty, so he's going to need to serve that within the first couple laps. I guess he jumped the start. We can take a look at that on the replay shortly, but we are hugging to the inside to just try and defend that position from Lamp, but we're not able to keep him out. He's managed to get past us, and so we're now coming round the first section of corners in fourth place. It seems like almost everybody got through that first set of corners relatively unscathed, which is pretty good going given how tricky those corners are and how difficult these cars are to run on cold tyres. Lamp up ahead of us is looking racy. He's already trying to line up a move on Van der Vaart by the looks of things. We're going to just try and keep in touch with these guys through the remainder of this lap as we try and get the car up to temperature. We've got a little bit of a gap back to Will in 5th place that hopefully we'll be able to maintain through the second half of this lap. We hug to the apex again for a very tricky right-hander. Difficult to get the car slowed down and turned in there. In fact, difficult to get the car turned in full stop at this track in the KTM X-Bow Cup Car. We've lost a little bit of time to the guys up ahead, but so far we've had a clean first lap, and really that's all I was hoping for. It's a relatively long race here as Lamp gets in slightly deep into that corner there, but he's managed to kind of rescue it. We run wide on exit, which is going to slow us down into the final two turns of the lap. Going to try and hold it in 4th gear here to get the best exit that we can. We run up onto the curbs on the left hand side, but that's okay, there's no problem with that. We're going to come round now onto the start finish straight for the end of lap 1, and we are running then in 4th place from Lamp up ahead of us, Van der Vaart, and then Grot holding his lead from first, and he really does look like he's got the pace of the field. Lamp making a move then into the first corner, but he's managed to get on the gas just too hot, and he spears off to the right hand side, and that is going to be really gutting for him because he's got genuine pace here as well at Zandvoort, but it promotes us up into 3rd, so we've managed to regain that position that we lost off the start. Speaking of the start, let's take a look back. You can see a car there on the right hand side, that must be Garcia, has moved early and therefore is going to have his drive-through penalty to serve. Everybody else got away relatively well, it looked. We're going to take to the inside here, but Lamp is around our outside. He's already really made that move stick, and he's passed us before we're even into the exit of the corner. Fair play to him there. One car running wide in the background, but otherwise a relatively clean start for everybody up and down the grid, and we're now just coming round into the left hand. You can see just how close some of the racing is behind us there as cars jostle for position. We now cut to the start of the next lap, and we see Lamp just getting it wrong on exit, and that's a very nasty collision there with the tyre wall. He manages to get going again, but he will almost certainly have sustained some damage. Lots of action all the way through the field, and if we cut now to the first corner of the following lap, as David Finney and Norway Nick are battling here over 9th and 10th position. You can see here that Nick is going to try and make a move down the inside, but unfortunately just gets up on the curb, and that's going to turn his car around, and he spins and he drops way down the field. Really unfortunate for him. Finney keeps going in 9th position. We cut ahead now to the next lap, and we're following Spam Crud into T1. Unfortunately, he gets it slightly wrong on exit. He just pushes the grass, and that's enough to put him into a big spin out of 7th place, and he drops down the order as well. Here we've got Milhouse, Joransson and Clarks all fighting over 14th, 15th and 16th position, again down into T1. You can see just how close the racing is here as they're coming around the snaking section into T3 and then into T4, and just about running side by side through this left-hander, which is just fantastic racing to see, managing to avoid contact as well. Fair play to all three drivers in that situation, because it would have been the easiest thing to come together and end up spearing off into the wall in that situation. And then if we look now again down into T1, this is where a lot of the action takes place at Zandvoort because it's so difficult to pass elsewhere. Unfortunately, Will here retires from 4th place. Not quite sure what happened there. It's an unusual place to spear off into the left-hand barrier. You can see he tries to get the car going again, but I guess he had such damage that he wasn't able to do so. One lap later, more action here as Cratchville passes Ray Mitchell for 9th place down the inside. A brilliant overtaking manoeuvre, really close racing between the two drivers there, and unfortunately for Mitchell, he just couldn't hold the position, and Cratchville is through. So as you can see, it wasn't just at the front that there was such great battling going on, but actually all the way through the pack, and that was the case pretty much all race long. We've rejoined the live action now. We're running still in 3rd place. We've got a little bit of pressure coming on us from behind from Lamp, who's recovered from that earlier incident, and we're just holding the gap pretty consistently now to Van der Vaart up ahead at 2 seconds. We couldn't really close that gap, unfortunately. It would hover somewhere between 1.7 seconds through sections of the track where we were slightly quicker, and then go back up again to around 2.2 seconds where he had the advantage. We're just about managing to hold Lamp behind us at around 1 second, but occasionally he does close in further, so I am aware that we're likely to come under a bit of pressure. I think ultimately, depending on how much damage he's running at the moment, he does have the pace on us, so I'm expecting to come under pressure as the race goes on. And the question for me now is, can I get ahead of Van der Vaart, or at least close up to it, to make that a three-way battle for the top positions. Something which helped me out a little bit was that behind us, Lamp came under pressure himself from Dietze, and this is a fantastic battle that went on for a good few laps behind us as we got into the middle section of this race. So Lamp is the lead car here, followed by Dietze, as they're following each other very closely around this track. They were swapping positions a little bit, but here you've got Dietze trying to apply some pressure to Lamp and get past and up into 4th position himself, but so far Lamp is able to hold it off. We fast forward to the next lap and look at this, both coming to the right hand side of the track. There's Lamp is defending. Dietze's going to try and go around the outside. He's just about got his right front tyre alongside, but it's not enough to make that pass stick, and Lamp manages to defend this time around. One lap later, it's the same again. Lamp moves to the inside to defend. This time Dietze decides to run it deep into the corner. He tries to hold it around the outside. There's a tiny bit of contact, and that is enough to put Dietze into the barrier, and that gives Lamp enough space to then try and get onto the back of us, which he does. 2 laps later, he's closed right in. He's following us through T1 here, but like so many other drivers, he just gets on the gas too early, and that puts him wide again, and he brushes with the wall. We're fast forwarding now to the end of this race, the final 2 minutes, and we've managed to close in on Van der Vaart in 2nd place. We've got the gap down to around 1 second. He's made a couple of mistakes. We've managed to remain relatively consistent and keep our tyre temperatures broadly under control. The front left is just about overheating now, so we're probably going to have one more racing lap after this one, and I'm hoping that I can put the pressure on that's required in order to make a move on that final lap. It's now the gap down to 0.8 of a second, and so I'm just going to try and maximise all of the braking zones, all of the apexes, and put as much pressure on as I can. I mentioned earlier it's notoriously difficult to pass around here, so I'm really hoping in some senses that Van der Vaart makes a mistake and gives us an opportunity to get alongside and get the move done. I've been pretty quick through this final corner all race long, so I'm hoping to be able to get the apex here and just put a bit of pressure on down into T1, although it's not looking like we're going to be close enough, and if anything, actually Van der Vaart's held the gap relatively stable. We are in his draft now though, and we're down to 3/10 the gap to try and make a move, but we're just too far back. We roll the car in as much as we dare without wanting to make any contact. That gives us a slightly compromised exit actually, but in any case it's going to be impossible to make a move stick through this section of corners unless he makes a very big error. So really now it's just going to be a case of trying to follow as closely as we can through the remainder of this lap and seize any opportunities that come up in order to try and squeeze our way through. Christian Grott in first place. We haven't featured him at all in this race, and that's simply because he was just 8 to 10 seconds clear of the rest of the pack through the race and was running a pretty lonely race really up front on his own, the class of the field in this opening race of 2. We're through now into the middle section of the lap. We're going to try and just hug to the apex here. It's getting more difficult to do so as that left front tyre heats up. Now into the left-hander. We've closed in pretty well here, and we're going to try and get on the gas early. We're within 3.5 tenths of Van der Vaart up ahead. We're not quite going to be close enough, it seems, to make a move down into the chicane, but we are going to be better on the brakes than he is, so we do close right into his rear. Well, these cars don't have bumpers, but to the rear of his car, but we're not able to get anything done on exit either. It's looking like we're going to have to settle for third place and a podium in this opening race. It's just not going to be possible to get alongside, is it? Oh, look at that, he's blocked off the apex very nicely there. There's nowhere for us to go. We almost run wide as a result, and we come home then in third place, just less than half a second behind. Lamp follows us home, and Dietzer comes home in 5th place, and the remainder of the grid some way behind us. But what a fantastic opening race there. You can see the top 10. Spamcrud is going to start then on pole position as he came home in 8th place after that earlier accident that he suffered. Straight then into race 2. Here we go. As I mentioned, Spamcrud on pole position. We're starting down in 6th place due to the reverse grid. Oh, but you could see there, Spamcrud got away too early off the lights, and we've got another drive-through penalty. We get a slightly sluggish start. I've got Grott on my inside as well as Lamp running side by side. In fact, we're 3 wide here. We get slightly tagged from behind. That's going to put us into the path of Lamp, and we make slight contact too. Not a lot I could do there, as essentially I got tagged around, I think from Grott, as he was just on our inside. But we managed to make it through in one piece just about. In fact, we're up into 5th place, and we've got 2 cars up ahead of us now that we're going to try and close in on. We should have the pace on. We were comfortably faster than them in race 1. First up is Kratochvil, and then we've got Lawson up ahead of him, and they're fighting already on this first lap. So already there you could see the competition for places into T1 very, very tight. It's going to be fascinating to see how the quicker drivers from race 1 are able to make their way through this traffic. You've got to say that already Dietzer is in pole position here really. He's in 2nd place already, and Spamcrud has a drive-through penalty to serve, so he's the net leader of this race already, and he had very good pace in race 1, so it's going to be a big challenge to see if we can get near him. We're going to try and just make a little look on Kratochvil. We're not able to make it stick into the chicane, but we've let him know that we're here and that we're quite keen to get past already, because I don't want to lose time here, and there's a real risk in fact with having the quickest man on track in race 1 behind us, that if we get held up, he's going to look to squeeze his way past us as we're stuck behind the 2 cars up ahead. We're going to get a decent run here then through the final corner and onto the start-finish straight for the first time in this second race. It looks like we might have half a chance down into T1. We're going to show to the inside, get late on the brakes, hug to the inside, but we just can't make it stick. We have to get on the brakes and get off the accelerator, otherwise we definitely would have come together. So unfortunately not able to make a move there, which means we're going to be sat behind for at least another 3 or 4 corners, as there's really no way past through this section of the circuit. Lamp has made his way past Grott behind us, so he's now closing in on us, and he'll be keen to make amends for those mistakes in race 1 and try and get a better race finish here in race 2. We're definitely quicker than the car ahead here. He's ran wide, in fact, and so I'm just going to give him a little bit of space just in case those dirty tyres mean that he gets unsettled through this next bit of the track. He's ran wide again there, so we're going to dive to the inside here, make the move stick. That was pretty bold, I think, and pretty brave, and I really do appreciate that Crutchfield gave us the space to make that move. He's now ran wide again, so the cars behind us managed to get through and past him. So unfortunately we haven't really been able to build a gap to the cars behind us, but we are running now in 3rd place. Let's take a little look back then at the start of race 2. You could see there very clearly that Spamcrud was just too keen on the accelerator off the start line. It means that he's got a brilliant start, but unfortunately he's going to have a drive-through penalty. You can see there we got tagged by got into the opening corner. That put us into Lamp, who then just about held it together. He did very well not to spear off into the grass. But broadly speaking, once again, a very clean run through T1 for everybody. Fair play to everybody on the grid there for making that work, as it's a very difficult opening corner. We're going to skip now slightly further ahead as we're just putting a bit of pressure on the car ahead, trying to get past early on this opening lap. We're not able to do it into the chicane, although we shaped to try and make a move down the inside, and then again into T1 of the next lap. Very close to being able to make a move, but not quite able to do it. But then finally, later on in lap 2, we were able to make the move as he ran wide twice, and that just gave us the opening into the right-hander to make our way past. We had to be firm there, but the gap was there, and we went for it, and all good, clean, fair racing, as then the pack is all trying to do likewise and get past Kratochvil into the left-hander, so it's 3 wide there. On the very next lap then, we're trying to get past Lawson and up into 2nd place. Lawson looks like he's got pretty good pace, in fairness, so I'm not sure that it's going to be as straightforward, but we're coming up to the part of the track where we made our way past Kratochvil on the last lap, and we've managed to close right in on him. It's the very next corner though, and we're going to dive down the inside. He left the space there. I don't know whether that was on purpose or not, or whether he just didn't expect us to make a move, but we were pretty determined at that stage to get past and try and claw the gap back. We've got 2.5 seconds to make up on Dieter, who's now running in clean air in 1st place. Very encouragingly for us, Lawson was able to keep Grot behind him, so that's hopefully going to provide us with a little bit of a buffer to some of the faster drivers behind and allow us to get clear of them and focus our eyes up ahead rather than be thinking about defending from behind. If you remember back to the last community race at Watkins Glen in the VW Scirocco, race 2 was a fight for the lead between myself and Dieter, which ultimately Dieter won. So I'm hoping that this time round the outcome will be different. Speaking of the race 1 winner, Grot, unfortunately he made an error trying to get past Lawson. He runs wide on the next lap, which drops him way back down the field. Feels unfortunate that the first time we're really going to feature Christian in the highlights is making a mistake, given just how good a race he had in race 1. But that set him up for a fantastic recovery drive, as you'll see from these highlight clips here, as he made his way back through the field in super quick fashion. Here he is down into T1, making the move stick on the inside. Relatively comfortable pass there. Once again down into T1, he was able to make up another position back, having dropped down the order. And this really was the story of his race, coming back through the field, this time down into the chicane, making another clean pass to try and just claw back some positions. Another fantastic battle on track was between Kratochvil, Van der Vaart and Lamp, as the 2 quicker drivers from race 1 were trying to make their way past the purple KTM here in the opening stages of the race. You can see Van der Vaart is trying to put pressure on. He almost makes a move down the inside, but Kratochvil is able to hold him off, although they're running side by side on exit. Lamp is just behind, looking for an opportunity as well to potentially get past. Kratochvil nearly runs out onto the grass. Van der Vaart is going to try and get down the inside. That slowed them both up, and Lamp is going to try and make a move down the inside, but he just gets untidy on the entry. It's a little bit of too much of an optimistic move, that really, to hope to make it stick. Another man who saw plenty of action in this race was Chris Rogers in the green KTM there. You could see he just benefited from a couple of drivers getting slightly out of shape into the final part of the lap. Here he is again making a move down the inside. Chris started towards the back of the field after a bit of a messy opening race, but he was able to make his way into the mid-pack through making several overtakes. Here he is with David Finney just behind him. Rogers trying to make a move down the inside here, but he just gets it slightly wrong into the right-hander. And it looks, on first glance, like Finney might make contact with him, but actually Rogers, unfortunately, just had a double downshift, and that locked the tyres and sent him round. But great action further down the pack as well. We rejoin the live action at the front then, and you could see there Dieter making a mistake into the right-hander, which is going to allow us to close back in. We've slowly but surely been reeling him in over the previous 10 minutes of racing. We've got 5 minutes left now, and the gap is down to just half a second. So we do have somewhat of a chance here of putting the pressure on and possibly taking the lead of this race. It's all going to be down to whether we can get close enough into T1. I'm not convinced there's a chance really to make a pass on any other part of the lap. We've got Van der Vaart and Lamp running behind us in 3rd and 4th place respectively. We're going to come round now onto the start-finish straight once again. We are closing in on Dieter, but I'm not sure we're going to be close enough. We really need to be within a couple of tenths as we hit the start of the start-finish straight. We're sure to the inside, but we're not really interested in making a move from that far back. So we're just going to resign ourselves to following him for one more lap around the circuit, and hopefully we'll be a bit closer into the next lap. The fantastic thing about both this race and the previous race is that my pace has been so well matched with those drivers that I found myself around on track, that it really has been a very intense bit of racing to just try and close the gap by a tenth or 2 tenths every lap, and then wait for a mistake or try and avoid making a mistake myself, try and be more consistent than the drivers around, and then capitalise on any opportunities that come up. It's just been brilliant racing in that regard. And now we're coming to the crunch, essentially the end of race 2, getting towards 40 minutes of racing here in the KTM Crossbows around Zandvoort, and we are putting on pressure big time here. Dieter holds us off there into the left-hander, and in fact he's got a better exit than we have, so we're definitely not going to have a chance down into the chicane this time around as we get hard on the brakes. We do close in, we run slightly deep there, but we are able to carry the speed through into the second part of the corner, and we've definitely got a better exit. So we're within quarter of a second here, coming into the final set of corners. We may very well be close enough here if we're able to get a better run onto the back, onto the start-finish straight here, and get onto the back of Dieter's car, and we've definitely got a good run. In fact, he runs slightly wide. We're going to come to the inside. He tries to make his way into the middle of the track. He's pushing us towards the right-hand side of the corner to just narrow our apex to try and get a better run through T1. He's slightly later on the brakes, but that means we get into the apex tighter, and we have made that move stick. Fantastic racing, and we've been able to squeeze our way into P1. Wow, that was really great challenge into T1 there. Fair play to Dieter. He made it hard. It wasn't a straightforward pass by any stretch of the imagination, but it was fair. Here we go again to look at it on replay. You can see just how close we're running on track. He gives us a car space, but no more than a car space on the inside, but that's all we need, as we're able to keep the car under control and move into first place. So here we are then, coming on to the very final lap of the race. That battling between Dieter and myself has allowed Lamp to catch up into 3rd place. So he's running very close to us as well here. But basically I now know that as long as I don't make any mistakes, then the race win for race 2 here should be mine. That comes with its own pressure though. It's in some respects it's easier to follow another car in these circumstances because you've got something to focus on. You can spot your braking against what they're up to, and you're the one applying pressure to the other driver. Right now, all of the pressure is on my shoulders, and you can see Dieter is trying to be a bit racy in my rear view mirror. He's closing right up in this right-hander. He knows he won't be able to find a way past, but he's just reminding me that he's here and that I've got a race on here if I'm going to hold this first place to the finish line. We take a defensive line into the right-hander, just close off any idea that he might have of trying to lunge down the inside. We're going to try and do likewise into the left-hander. There's no real way past here. It's too challenging challenging a corner to make a move through. And the last real opportunity he's going to have then is down into the chicane, and it looks to me like we've got that covered off at this stage. We get on the brakes slightly late, which means we run in deep, and actually we've locked up, and that gets us out of shape into the chicane itself. We've thrown it away. He's passed us. We're not able to get back ahead of him, even though we had a slightly better exit. I can't believe it. We lost control of the car. Now we've got Lamp on our inside, who's trying to challenge us. He pushes us out onto the grass, and it looks as if he lost control of the car as he did it. It means we're going to hold on to second place. But we had a victory in our hands, and we let it go with about 3 corners remaining in the race. I can't believe we've done that. But what an intense battle to the finish. Unbelievable. Here we go then, watching it on replay again. We just get too hot into the chicane. It means we get crossed up. It's basically the first error like that we've made in both races. In 40 minutes of racing action, we've been so consistent, and we throw it away at the last minute. What happened here then into the final corner? Lamp's down our inside. He pushes us out, and he makes contact with us, and that sends him around. Really unlucky to spin there. Confirmation then of the race results. Dietzer wins from us in second, and then Garcia takes the final podium position. Well done to everybody who took part in these 2 races. Brilliant action throughout the grid. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do leave a like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the races we've got coming up in the future. Remember to click that link to the Discord channel in the description below, and I will see you next time.